here saying one of your employees took money out of her purse. You have a young lady who works at the register, about 19 years old, blonde.
Becky, come with me.
I swear I didn't take anything. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just trying to do my job.
Calm down for me, okay? You don't realize what kind of trouble you're in. We need to find the money, but I'll need your help till I can get down there. We really have two choices here.
He's saying he will have to take you to jail.
Or what we could do is have you strip search her right now.
I could strip search you here.
No. No.
Is this okay to be doing?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Quick movie recommendation number 1, Blind Spotting. This is hands down 2018's most underrated and overlooked film. It stars Daveed Diggs from Hamilton fame and his good friend Rafael Casal, who both wrote the film. It's absolutely hilarious. It's heartwarming. The cinematography is fantastic. Its use of color is brilliant. But at its core, this film is heavy. When Daveed Diggs' character Colin witnesses a police officer shooting an unarmed African American, that's when blind spotting really begins to take form. When you especially begin to take what is going on in today's society and you place it within the realms of this film, it is essential viewing. And while Casal and Diggs' chemistry are off the charts, it's Daveed's acting in Blind Spotting that is some of the best I've seen all decade and is why Blind Spotting is a must-watch.
Kitty Green's The Assistant is a movie some complain is boring, and in ways they're right. It just follows the daily routine of Jane, a new assistant to a powerful executive in the entertainment industry. Everything she goes through in the film is treated as incredibly mundane, as boring. The problem is, some of the behavior she witnesses should not be treated as such. She more or less is ignored by the men in her office, or attacked via email, ripped apart and talked down to for anything considered a mistake. As the days go on, Jane begins to notice more and more things happening with her boss, and she's the one answering the phones and making his appointments, some of which include visits to hotel rooms he purchased for young girls he promised possible jobs to. Realizing what's clearly going on, she tries to speak up, only to be told that if she makes a formal complaint, her career in the industry will be all over before it's even started. So now she has to decide if it's worth risking her dream job to speak up against something she knows is wrong. It's true this movie is slow, so if that kind of thing drives you nuts, I understand wanting to skip it, but the thing that this movie does so well is to illustrate complacency, how again and again these things happen and will continue to happen if we keep treating it like it's mundane. Check it out, it's on Hulu.
4 more documentaries that will leave you absolutely traumatized. The film crew for this documentary actually spent months inside a mental hospital for the criminally insane in the early 60s. The footage that they captured showed the horrific mistreatment and abuse of the inmates. I don't recommend watching this one before you go to bed. This documentary follows a 6-year-old girl with a history of extreme abuse who tries to work with a therapist to try and curb her desires to murder her entire adoptive family and their pets. It's scary to see how much of a monster a child that young can become, but this one actually has a happy ending. Roger Ebert called this one of the most powerful documentaries of all time. It looks at sexual abuse and incest in one family spanning over 3 generations. It's hard to believe that one grandfather is this appallingly evil, and the devastation on the family is insane. This one's obviously very popular on Netflix right now. It looks at the life of Gabriel Fernandez, a young boy who was tragically abused and ultimately murdered by his mother and stepfather. I recommend preparing yourself before jumping into this series.
had it with historical films that are all about American exceptionalism. So here's some of my pitches for historical films that would be all about American stupidity. Let's go. I think we should make a movie about the time we almost nuked a town in North Carolina. I also think we should make a movie about the time that the CIA tried to train cats to be spies. Speaking of the CIA, we should definitely make a political satire about their many failed attempts to cartoonishly assassinate Fidel Castro. They sent him an exploding cigar at one point, y'all. I also think we need to make a movie about the Navy's massive manhunt for a woman named Dorothy, who did not exist because they didn't understand what the term friend of Dorothy actually meant, and they thought that she was just a woman who knew all of the gay men in the military. And finally, my piece de resistance would be a movie about the time that the military tried to create a bomb that turned people gay.
Hidden Gems to Watch on Netflix, Part 1. Snowpiercer is a movie about the next ice age where there's only one train left that goes around the entire world. The movie takes on class in a super interesting way, how the back of the train is poor and the front of the train is rich, and it has Chris Evans.
The most insane family in the United States. There are some documentaries that are so unforgiving in the way that they present their subjects that you wonder why they let the cameras keep rolling as they live their life. I'm talking about The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, which follows the most wild, over-the-top, hard-partying, hillbilly caricature of a family that I've ever come across. This doc has pretty much all the dirt you could ever want, from drug dealing to snorting pills in the hospital just after giving birth to a baby. It was quite a ride. Seriously, they have some of the most insane stories I've ever heard, and that includes attempted murder and police standoffs. The whole time I was watching, I was like, how is this even real? My face was like this the whole time. They really are true outcasts.
The Films, Part 38. Today we're talking about Fractured. This one is about a man named Ray, his wife Joanne, and his daughter Perry. They're on their way home from a Thanksgiving trip, and they stop at a gas station where Perry gets injured. They rush to the nearest hospital, and after Perry gets assessed by a doctor, he decides she needs a CAT scan. But only one parent is allowed to go back, so Joanne does. Ray waits for them in the waiting room, and eventually falls asleep. When he awakes, he realizes it's been hours and his wife and daughter still aren't back. And when the front desk can't tell him where they are, he becomes convinced that they're hiding something. This one has a really crazy twist at the end, and I really enjoyed it. I knew while I was watching from TikTok comments that this was going to have a cool twist at the end, so the whole time I was theorizing with what was going to happen, but I didn't figure it out exactly. It's on Netflix, so go check it out and let me know what you think.
Hidden Gems to Watch on Netflix, Part 6. Hardcore Henry is a Russian-made, first-person action movie that is directly inspired by Call of Duty. I can't pronounce his name, but this dude wore 2 GoPros strapped to his face and filmed all of this stuff. It's incredible. It only had a meek budget of $2 million and has some of the most insane stunts I've ever seen. Just look. Look at this. The movie's great.
I got so many people asking me to review this movie, so here's another movie recommendation. Girl in the Basement is a movie about a really controlling father and a normal teenage girl. In the beginning, it starts out with the classic controlling father who just doesn't let her go out, and she keeps saying that she's gonna leave when she's 18 and never come back. He decides that this just doesn't work for him, so he tricks her into going downstairs in the basement into a secret room that is hidden behind a bookshelf and locks her in there. He's the only one who knows about the room, so everybody else in her life thinks that she just walked off and disappeared due to all of his lies. He locks her in there right before her 18th birthday and keeps her in there for 20 years. Over the course of those 20 years, he repeatedly rapes her and has her go through multiple pregnancies, 2 of which of those kids have to live down there with her, never seeing the sunlight. So I watched this movie last night and I was in tears, like I was sobbing my eyes out. This movie is extremely hard to watch, especially because the acting is so good and so real. I do highly recommend this movie if you can handle these things. You should definitely watch it with a parent if you are young. If you want to watch it, it's on Hulu and Amazon Prime. I would give the plot a 9 out of 10, cinematography 10 out of 10, acting 10 out of 10, and overall 10 out of 10.
What the heck is Lake Mungo? The movie Lake Mungo had me freaked out. I stopped this movie 3 times to check and see if it was actually real. The story is told in a documentary format with actors and footage so dang real that you just can't believe someone could fake something on this level. It's about an Australian family that goes to Lake Mungo for a swim and the daughter drowns. But then as time goes on, she ends up appearing at their house in photos and videos that her brother is taking. Her presence starts a mystery that takes several twists and turns, and I can't emphasize enough that it never stops feeling real. I'm not talking like Cloverfield, Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity real. I'm talking straight up documentary footage. Like if you told me it's real right now, I'd be like, I knew it. Wait, is it real though? Hold on, because I just read that the director didn't make any other films and doesn't want to be interviewed, and the actors won't respond to questions about the film.
Horror movies worth checking out part 134, Last Shift.
The film is about a young woman named Jessica who is just starting off as a police officer. Her first job is a night shift all by herself at the old police station while they're moving into a new location. And what Jessica thinks will be a boring shift turns into anything but. Because a cult leader and some of his followers committed suicide in one of the prison cells at the station exactly 1 year ago.